We're all obsessed with the flashy stuff, right? The brilliant product, the killer marketing plan for a new company. But what if I told you the biggest threat isn't your competitor? What if it's an invisible force that can make a startup just crumble from the inside out? Today, we're going to look at that hidden architecture, the stuff that makes or breaks a company.
So, let me ask you, what do you think is the #1 silent killer of promising startups? A smarter competitor? A bad market? Not enough funding? I mean, sure, those are all huge risks. But the real killer? It's often something a lot closer to home.
It's not the big bad competition out there. It's the cracks in your own foundation. Seriously, think about your startup like you're building a house. You can have the most beautiful design, the coolest gadgets, but if that concrete you poured at the very beginning is weak, the whole structure is just doomed to collapse.
And that brings us to what we could call the governance blind spot. We all love talking about the exciting stuff, the product, the growth, the brand, but that boring stuff, the governance, the rules, the processes, that's the structural integrity of your house. It's not glamorous, but it is absolutely essential if you want to survive.
So let's get really specific. We're going to walk through 5 of the most common, most dangerous foundational cracks that, if you don't pay attention to them, can bring that entire house down.
All right, first up,
role confusion. Oh man, this is classic early stage chaos, isn't it? Everybody's wearing like 10 different hats. But imagine this. 2 founders both think they're in charge of partnerships, and they accidentally promise the same exclusive deal to 2 different clients. Who has the final say? When those lines get all blurry, you don't get collaboration. You just get chaos and paralysis.
And I mean, the difference here is just night and day. On one side, you've got total chaos. The team's always asking, wait, who's in charge of this? And that leads to conflicting decisions that just grind everything to a halt. But with the fix, just simple clarity, you get defined roles. Everyone knows what they own, and that unlocks way faster, more decisive execution.
Now, the second crack, this one feels like a smart shortcut, but believe me, it is a ticking time bomb. I'm talking about legal and compliance neglect. It is so tempting to think, we're small, we're scrappy, we'll deal with all that paperwork later. But skipping those essential filings, or, say, relying on a handshake deal for how you split up the company equity, you're creating this huge, hidden risk that could absolutely detonate right when you're finally starting to get some traction.
And the stakes here? They're incredibly high. Neglecting this stuff creates massive legal vulnerabilities and just deep investor distrust. I mean, no serious investor is going to fund a company with a messy, undefined legal structure. But getting it right from the start gives you protection. It builds that solid legal footing that creates the confidence you need to get investment.
All right, #3, this one hits right where it hurts, the money.
Weak financial oversight. This is the classic shoebox full of receipts problem, right? You're mixing your personal and company bank accounts, you're not keeping clean records. It's more than just messy. It means you are literally flying blind. You have no real idea what the financial health of your company actually is.
And this crack, it leads to total obscurity. You can't see your cash flow, which sets you up for tax nightmares and, those really nasty financial surprises. But with proper oversight, you get clarity. You actually understand your financial health, your records are clean, and you can make smart, informed decisions about where you're going.
So our 4th crack, this one isn't about what you do, but it's about who is in the room when you're doing it.
This is a big one. Lack of independent oversight. When the only people who are vetting your brilliant ideas are the exact same people who came up with them, you create an echo chamber. You're just too close to the problem to see the flaws. And without external advisors, people who can challenge your assumptions, you develop these massive, dangerous blind spots.
And that crack leads directly to blind spots. Groupthink takes over. Huge opportunities get missed. But the fix is so powerful: perspective. Just bringing in a few outside voices gives you diverse insights, a way broader network, and a strategy that's been properly stress-tested by someone who isn't emotionally attached to it.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial foundational crack of them all. This one, it's all about your mindset.
Reactive governance. This is that whole, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it approach. But here's the thing about the startup world. That bridge is often on fire by the time you get there. Waiting for a crisis to force you to get your act together is always more painful, way more expensive, and a heck of a lot more chaotic than just building good systems from the start. See, that burning bridge means you're stuck in constant crisis mode. You're always firefighting, always doing damage control, and your growth just stalls out. The alternative is being in proactive mode. You anticipate the challenges and you build the systems before they break.
That is the only path to truly scalable growth.
Okay, so after seeing all those potential disasters, it's pretty easy to think of governance as just a chore, right? Something you have to do. But the key here is to reframe it completely. Strong governance isn't a burden. It is the cornerstone principle that gives you a massive competitive advantage.
And this piece of advice really just says it all. Startups that invest early in governance build trust, attract investors, and scale smoothly. That is the core takeaway here. It's not about bureaucracy. It's about building a machine that is designed for success from day one.
Now, what's the actual payoff? Well, it's totally tangible. First, you build trust. Your partners, your early employees, they see you're building something real and solid. Second, you attract investors because they see a stable, well-run organization, not some chaotic science project. And third, you can actually scale smoothly without the whole operation breaking under the pressure of its own success.
Ultimately, it all comes back to this one idea: building a startup to last. Those boring foundational choices you make in the first few months, they're going to echo for years. Your foundation literally determines your future.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought for your own venture. Look past all the flashy, exciting stuff for a second and ask yourself the most important question of all. Is your foundation truly built to last?